Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty.
Now the Lord
Now the
is
Lord is-
Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is
Liberty.
liberty. And so freedom is another word for
Liberty.
liberty. What does,
Liberty.
so what does freedom mean?
Liberty.
You're
It means to be free. The dictionary.
What does it mean to
Not
be
being
free?
restrained by anything.
freed from
Yeah,
shackles.
free from shackles.
You can't.
So to be free is not to be
Restrained.
restrained.
Period.
What else?
Clock that T.
That's not one.
To be.
Not to
Oh,
hold
to
back.
be released.
To be released?
Yo, that's not.
Well, you're not free if you're unshackled.
Yo, shut.
I proved
Because you can be released from You can be released
Okay, to be
From
released.
yourself.
from. You can be released from class, but not school.
Dang!
Then I'm still not free. It
What
depends.
else?
It depends. Look, to be released, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on what.
Like it's still where you're being released from.
Situation.
Because you can be released from something, but there's something more that you're still
Would you
not free
say
from.
would you say you're free right now?
I mean,
No.
yeah,
No.
yeah, because I have the spirit of the Lord,
Yes, I'm free.
so I'm free.
Free.
That part, yeah, but literally.
I mean, right now I'm not free because, I'm priceless. So.
Mm.
um,
So where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And where are you? I'm looking for you.
I think we put to be released in parentheses.
In parentheses.
Yeah.
Mean quotation marks.
Hey!
Depending on what you call.
Yeah, it really just
Released.
depends.
So
Dang.
for you to know you are free, okay? And for you to appreciate your freedom, okay?
Mhm.
Because there is a need for you to appreciate your freedom. If you know what you are released from, if you know. And this knowing is to understand the what. The what. What is it you are freed from? Because if you don't understand what you're freed from, then you'll always find yourself going back to the prison cells. And to save you from thinking literally, I'm not talking about physical freedom. What do you think I'm talking about?
Spiritual
From being like a slave
freedom?
in sin.
Yeah.
It's spiritual.
Well, we're having.
It is spiritual because 2 Corinthians says that
That's where the spirit of the Lord is. There's
now the Lord is
Spirit.
That's what I said.
Spirit. The Lord is
Spirit.
Spirit,
And where the Spirit of the Lord.
and where the Spirit of the Lord is,
That's exactly what I said.
there is liberty.
Guys.
And so then to understand freedom or liberty from a spiritual perspective. And so from a spiritual perspective, it says the Lord is Spirit. Okay? The Lord is Spirit.
The Lord is spirit.
And where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And so, let's look at this, okay? Brain
Brain?
is an organ, okay?
Yeah.
is a physical
Organ.
organ.
Actually,
Organ.
according to my definition.
The brain is a physical
Organ.
organ. What about the mind?
The mind
It's an organ.
is an
I
organ.
mean,
It's not an organ.
It's not an organ.
It's a,
It's a mind.
I don't know.
Mental.
It's a mental.
I don't know.
A mental organ.
I don't
you
know.
know your mind.
What do you mean
Spiritual
by mind?
organ.
In your brain.
Spiritual
I don't know.
organ.
It's not an
I said
organ.
I don't know.
I already said that.
Spiritual organ.
I already said that.
No, I
I
said
said it like 20
Well,
minutes ago.
No,
Let's
I
not call it an organ,
Yeah.
Right.
but
You
it's
know what?
spiritual.
Yeah.
It's immaterial, or you can say immaterial.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mhm.
The mind is immaterial.
Is that an I or T?
Is that a real word?
What do you think?
Immaterial.
It could
The
be
mind
that.
is not something you can
Not
touch.
touch. Yeah.
Your brain,
That was a word.
you can touch and you can weigh.
Yeah.
You cannot weigh your mind.
I mean,
And then we have your heart. We have the heart, the organ,
yeah,
Right.
So
the one that pumps blood. And here we also have the heart.
Spiritual organ.
It's not.
It's not an organ.
So these two are not the same. There is the organ that pumps blood that does not look anything like love, because we tend to think this is love, the organ. It has nothing to do with that shape. Have you ever seen the heart?
Yes.
yeah.
How does it look like?
Like,
Like
Not
this?
that-
this.
Like
It
this?
has
weird
nothing to do
ball.
with
You know,
this.
like
It's
this.
like
It's actually this big. It's this big.
Yeah, it's
It
actually
look like
like
it
this.
is big.
And it goes like
It
this.
depends on your
This,
size.
this, and then it goes like
You feel this
that.
big?
You
Oh.
feel like this big.
so that's
You
like.
gonna eat a sandwich this big.
What
You
else?
like ice cream like this big.
And the heart, this is the organ that pumps blood.
That's not like big.
But this heart, when God says, I will give you a clean heart, and sometimes it's used interchangeably with the mind.
Yeah.
Okay? And so these two can actually mean one and the same thing. They can mean one and the same thing. All right? So this one runs the physical body. By pumping blood to your brain, pumping blood to your extremities. But this one runs your spiritual being. We get it? This one runs your spiritual being. This is, so of these two, which one is weightier? Spiritual. It doesn't mean you ignore your heart, because you gotta have to be in shape. If you're not in shape, your heart will work extra hard to pump blood through your blood. And when it can't, that's why you hear people talk about heart attack and all that stuff medically. It's because there is too much fat deposits. They call it what? Plaque? Plaque?
No, that's T.
Black?
That's T.
That stops the blood from reaching your extremities and your brain. If it stops the blood from reaching your brain, you get what they call stroke. When there's a blockage in the arteries, then the heart is not able to function and you can easily suffer cardiac arrest. But this one, Scripture says, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of
Life.
life. Which book?
Proverbs.
Proverbs what?
4.
4 what?
17.
Okay.
38.
17, 30.
23. 23. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. And so for you to be set free, and we said, so we don't need to talk about the physical, because this one you learn in school, in biology. I don't need to teach you about, even the brain, you learn in school. So we don't need to worry about that. So guard your heart with all diligence. Out of it flows the issues of life. Now, to imprison without putting you in a cell, I need to take control. Control of your mind. To imprison you without putting you in a cell, I need to take control of your mind. Once I take control of your mind, then I put you in a prison. If I influence you enough to think in a certain way, then you will do what I want you to do. You will buy the things I want you to buy. You will live the way I want you to live. You will do things the way I want you to do. And since you were born, you came into this world and you find there was a way of thinking, there was a way of living, there was a way of relating, there was a way of viewing creation, there was a way of viewing other people. And we were raised up in that kind of a life. And we just got adopted into that. Adapted. You adapt to the lifestyle. And they say, when you go to Rome, do as the Romans do.
How do you all know that?
Because you do. Literature.
Shut up.
And so you go to Italy, you start learning to talk the way they talk. You start learning the food they eat. You eat the same food.
Spaghetti.
They eat pasta.
Y'all want me so bad.
Meatball.
You start learning their lifestyle, and sooner or later you become part and parcel of that life. Now, freedom is number 2 in the fivefold ministry. Rahima. Freedom is number 2 in the fivefold ministry, Christ's messianic mission. The number 1 was what? Healing the broken hearted. Number 2 is liberty to the captives, or freedom to the captives. Now, we said the captives are those who are held in prison. So for you to know you are held in prison, you must first understand that you are in prison, because it begins by saying that the Spirit of the Lord is upon me and he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. And so part of the poor is to know that you have been controlled, your life has been controlled this far by some external entity. Right? Is to understand somebody else has been conforming you to their way of thinking and their way of living. And who is that somebody? Who is that somebody? The world.
I was gonna say that, but the world is the thing. I mean, the person.
The world has been conforming you to a way of thinking and living. And that's why Romans 12:2 says, do not be conformed to the systems of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, the setting free of your mind, so that you can think as you are originally meant to think. Again, using the example of the
World.
mirror.
Mirror.
We were created in the image and in the likeness of
God.
God. And as God functions in heaven, is how you were meant to function on earth. And so the way God thinks is the way you ought to think as you reign and rule on earth. But because of the entrance of sin, our minds were captured by the enemy. How do we know our minds were captured? How were our minds captured?
Distraction.
Adam.
Adam
Adam
and Eve,
and Eve.
mostly Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Eve ate of the fruit, what led to Eve eating the fruit?
The devil.
No, what led? How did she end up eating the fruit?
Persuasion.
Temptation.
Temptation.
It's not really temptation.
Desire.
Desire.
How did the desire come to be?
Persuasion.
Persuasion.
No. Scripture says, and Eve saw.
Oh, so looking.
Saw and determined that the fruit of the tree was good for
eating.
food.
Same thing.
It was good for
Food. For
good to the eyes.
eyes.
Yeah.
That's a big
And it was pleasant to make one
Who booming on his door?
Oh.
Wise.
wise.
Yeah.
Eve saw. And so somewhere in I think it's 1 John, these are equated to lust of the flesh. This one is equated to the lust of the eye, and this one is equated to the pride of life. And that's how our minds were imprisoned. Because now, even when you think about the things we talk about in the world, when you look at how the world runs, these are the three motivators. Things that make you feel good in your body. Pleasure. They bring pleasure to your body. Things that are pleasurable to your eyes, that you're desiring to see them. And then the pride of life, the accomplishments.
That's a lust of the flesh.
Lust of the flesh. No, pride of life, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life.
Yeah, something.
So this gives you pleasure. These are satisfying to your eyes. And these, they give you status. They give you status. And so you find these things imprison the way you're thinking, and they turn your eyes inward.
Hold up, wait, what's your shit?
They turn your eyes inward. And then you become a prisoner
Who bought him this shit?
of your mind.
This love is love, Shalom. Take this off.
You become a prisoner of your mind.
Snatch that shit off your back.
Do we get it?
You see.
Now, school is important, but
What is my calculations?
not a lot.
Because where are you
People
going?
feel stuff. I don't get anything.
Hey.
no, I'm not saying that so that you start arguing against school.
Oh, I didn't say
I
that.
think like after
I
middle
was
school,
saying that
school is
before.
pointless.
After middle school.
After what?
After middle school, school is pointless.
Why will it be pointless? Because
Because
now,
when you get
to you,
no, when you get to high school, you're literally all you're doing is just going deeper into the things that you already learned. So you
Yes.
already have the base information. So you don't
everything.
need anything after middle school.
everything is deeper. It's the same things you learn, but on a deeper and deeper and deeper levels.
Okay, but when am I?
So you
getting
can't
used-
say it's the same things you learn, because
when am
then
I
if
getting
it's
used to trigonometry in my everyday
I was going to say that,
when are you doing what?
When am I getting used to trigonometry in my
Why don't
everyday
you learn
life?
about history?
Why are you learning about history?
No,
Actually, I love
I said,
history.
when am I gonna use
So
trigonometry
it
in my
happened in the
everyday
past.
life?
You never know.
Future, right?
There are
When-
things I learned in school that I
when am
never thought I
going
would
to
use.
need to know about like a bunch of politicians that are dead?
Literally.
Why do we read Bible stories?
Okay, that's like different.
That's
It's
Bible.
spiritual knowledge and like in worldly knowledge is different. Though.
The principle is the same.
Okay, but it's really not.
It's
It's
different
different.
topics.
It helps you appreciate where you are. You think about the children of Israel. Why did they keep on sinning and falling back to sin when God saves them? Because they neglect history.
Yo, but it's different
yeah.
history though.
Now, right here, you may not appreciate the people who died for the sake of the freedom of this country
Yo,
when
yo,
you
hold
don't
on,
learn.
Hold on.
No, stop arguing. Listen. If you don't learn what this country went through, you will never appreciate the freedoms you have today.
I mean, yeah, but I'm saying like you learn the base of that stuff in middle school. I'm just saying like after high school, you really don't need.
After
don't
high school,
need it.
that's why you specialize as you go higher.
I mean, yeah, but like
Education system begins broad like a pyramid, and then you specialize. It does not negate the things you learned because they help you appreciate where you are today because of what others experienced in their past.
Okay.
But if you neglect that, trust me, you will not even appreciate the things your own grandfather went through for
I mean,
your sake.
I'm not neglecting it. I mean, like I still stick with my opinion, but you know, we can agree to disagree.
It's a mindset,
We can agree to disagree.
and it's also a form of prison.
Alright.
It's a mindset, and it's a form of.
Yo, Rahema.
And so history.
No, I didn't even say history. Rahema said history. I was like, I was saying, like,
I'm not saying
trigonometry and stuff.
I'm not saying history because Rehema said history. I'm saying history is there to help you appreciate the things people suffered in their past. History helps you appreciate the cost that was paid for you to be where you are today. For example, let's talk about politics. Back in the days, women were never allowed to vote. Blacks were never allowed to vote. They were never allowed to vote. But there is a season where people fought for those freedoms until they secured the freedom. Now here you are today, you can vote not only as a black man, but also as a woman.
Okay.
And so if you don't learn what they went through, you will not appreciate and value your vote today. And that's the problem with people today. They have not taken into account the things that people suffered for the freedoms they enjoy today. And that's why Hebrews 12:1 is there. Now that we are surrounded with a cloud of witnesses, because they suffered, they paid the price for you to be where you are today spiritually. It's the same principle. You cannot underestimate the value of history. Otherwise, why learn it? Why learn it? Why is it that every school why is it that every school system in this country advocates for people to learn history? They may disagree on what to learn in the history, but they all agree on one thing, that history is important.
Yeah.
Yes, but I was never.
You may not need it as you advance.
Yeah, I'm saying it's important, but you don't really like need it to like function in America or everyday life.
here.
Whatever.
You probably will. What if you?
When
What
am I
if?
gonna use
what
A
if-
squared equals B squared?
What
equals
if?
C squared?
What if 10 years from now you want to run for Congress?
I don't think I'll ever be doing that.
You don't know.
Okay, but do I need to know what's it called?
That's not the point.
Okay, where?
Shut up.
And it's in a lot of areas. The thing is, the way you think matters a whole lot. You take for granted these little things that look insignificant right now, they will affect you in the future.
I didn't say they were insignificant. I just said you don't need them.
Yeah, that's just
No,
confronting
it's
them
not.
as insignificant.
No, it's not.
Because they look insignificant right now. You would say you don't need them.
I mean, you really don't need them because you know there's a bunch of Boo.
Continue.
Which is
So
which is successful.
what career are you looking to pursue?
I want to be a pediatrician.
So don't you think the history of pediatrics will not play a role in your practice?
I mean, it might, but I don't need it.
You gotta calculate.
You will need it.
She needs to calculate.
Why? Because how they came about with these things, how they came up about with the practices, the things they tried and the things they failed in that field, it becomes central to your practice. Because if you neglect that, you will go do something that was abolished 10 years ago and boom, you lose your license. The idea is, don't underestimate the things you're learning right now. They may look silly, they may look irrelevant, but you will need them.
Okay.
10 years, 20 years from now, you will need them.
Okay.
There are things I learned 30 years ago that I'm finding myself, reminding myself of those things.
May I ask,
Yes.
like, what?
Yeah, I actually want to know, like, not even like
Like, what thing?
a debate anymore. I just want to know what things they needed, like, but like middle school, middle things that you learned after
Middle school, high school.
Okay,
primary.
things that you learned. Things that you learned. I just want to know things that you learned in high school.
Let me even go further. Primary school, which is what? Elementary and middle school.
I was saying like things like I'm saying like high
I'm
school.
giving an example.
I know, but like you're giving an example of something I wasn't saying that. I said everything after like middle school is like not is like.
Is
you don't
irrelevant?
need it.
Oh, you don't need it?
Yeah.
Let me give you a personal example. We back in middle school, my middle school.
Prehistoric ages?
Yeah. We had a subject called home science.
Okay, we have
Home science.
What?
And that subject, by then it looked very irrelevant.
Curriculum, though.
That's
Like,
not
you're gonna
what?
need that's not core curriculum. You know, you're gonna need home science because bro, you're gonna learn how to cook, learn how to do this, that, and the other.
Mm.
But like you need that. But like I'm saying, like stuff like.
Like the history of Kenya, how Kenya
Not
got
history. I
independent.
never said that was right out.
So stuff like what?
Like stuff like.
Okay, take that ball.
Aaron's not doing his job, bro.
Okay. Can
I can't think of a
correct
single
You don't
job
even
where
know
you
what
would
he
use
read.
that subject.
Love is love.
No, give me an example. Go.
Like I'm saying, like just
So what
like. Oh, we're having a debate about like how like certain things that you learn after middle school are like you don't need them to be successful.
Give me an example.
Pythagorean theorem.
Calculus.
Exactly.
Trigonometry.
Calculus.
Like
I haven't
So-
learned calculus yet,
What are
so
y'all talking
So
about?
what
Yo, she just
do you
said-
think calculus is irrelevant?
I don't know about irrelevant, but you don't exactly. It's not an essential skill.
exactly.
But what's your line of career? What do you look to pursue?
I hate you.
She said.
My name is Junior.
Something to do with computer sciences.
Years old.
Computer sciences.
Okay,
Nah.
now that I think about
Okay,
it,
yeah, okay.
that will require calculus. But I'm just saying in general. I'm not speaking for my
Like in
personal
general, also like
experience.
even if like
You give me your person. What is irrelevant to you?
like okay like this is what I did. Like there's different ways of business systems. Like if you want to start a business, I'm gonna start a business right now. I don't need anything because I'm not even in high school yet. Well, I'm not even in high school. I'm not even in high school yet. And the things that I learned in middle school, I can use that to start a business.
Do you think what the
and run a
things?
successful business? Cause and like yeah, if you're gonna like computer science, you're gonna need it, but like it also depends. Like I feel like that's my mindset because I'm not trying to do something on computer
Were you
science.
trying to start a business?
So let me
Other
ask.
people
Let
are
me ask
having-
this question: if you want to start a business and you already learned in middle school different types of businesses, what you have learned is like ABCs. The what an elementary kindergarten student will learn. You
Cause I want to go to school. I want to go to college. I want to go all
you
that, but
will
like
need it.
I'm not. You don't.
The good thing with specialization is you drop the unnecessaries. And that's why at your age, at your level, you need to already know what you want to pursue. Because when you clear high school and you don't know what you want to pursue, then we have a problem. And you need to start setting your goals straight when you enter high school. So I would understand somebody like Ryan telling me I don't know what I want to pursue, but Junior telling me the same thing, I'll have a problem with him.
Yeah.
I graduated.
I mean, Ryan should know what he wants to do
I
too.
graduated like
Which is better,
2 years.
because the earlier, the better. The earlier you know what you want to pursue, the earlier or enough time you have to start knowing what subjects to pursue.
Okay.
And those subjects, every subject except math, has an element of history.
Sister in middle school, like you learn U.S. history in middle school. Once you get to high school, you're gonna start learning like.
I didn't learn US history, I learned
You
Kenyan
learned
history.
that they changed nowadays.
They changed it.
Now, for me, I learned Kenyan history or
Oh,
African
yeah.
history.
Ooh.
But
And
now,
that's necessary for you, but
No.
you need to learn.
I didn't need to learn the US history.
Wait, is
Now,
it
if I rejected that then,
I still forget.
and then I come to this country as a black man, and I don't understand why people are called slaves, I'll have a hard time.
Wait, so like,
And sure enough, I did. Because I would not understand why. One of the things I had a problem is they would say, oh, he was the first African American to fly a plane. And in my mind, I'm like, Kenyans, we fly planes all the time. Now, for me to appreciate them, I have to learn why.
Yeah, I understand that, but like,
wait, which?
Did I learn it in high school? No. Had they taught it in high school when I was in Kenya, I would have probably said this is irrelevant. But now I find myself in a different country, and for me to understand why people are living as they are, then I must understand their history.
Wait, is that
Otherwise, I'll be like,
West, my fault.
what's wrong with these black people?
West.
I will not appreciate them.
West.
it's so much different.
I teach you.
Now, one of the challenges is this. If
Yeah, my teacher put me
if the previous generation, if the previous generation, the generation that was there during slavery,
Wait.
if they do not teach their children the value of freedom, and they brush that off because of the pain they suffered, these children will not appreciate history, but they are still suffering from the effects of slavery, and they react from a place of pain instead of a place of freedom or healing.
I have a question.
And it's the same thing even with the races. And when we fail, like if the system fails to teach you history so that you can appreciate, then you will not understand why people are suffering. And all this not interracial, but within the same race, why they are fighting each other. It's because they have not valued the freedom that their grandparents fought for. And so they take life for granted. I am mad, you took my girlfriend, you have no value to me, get out of here. Or we disagree over some alcohol or some game or some topic, and I don't like you anymore, get out of here. That lack of appreciation is a consequence of not valuing life and the freedoms that we have in this country.
Yeah, but you learn that in middle school, and you like most like when you learn about like Black history, it's mostly from the things. Like I learned like most of my own history personally, I learned from my dad, not school, and the like other U.S. history I learned in middle school.
Because sometimes schools, instead of being candid with the reality, they doctor it.
But I had a Black history teacher too, so.
And that's why we are talking about this.
I was a white lady.
You were here in class when we were talking about prison, our minds being in prison. Because it is the same, remember, all this is under the world. And the world wants you to think in a certain way. The world wants you to view things in a certain way. But now, when it comes to this very thing, to be set free from the way the world thinks. Now, let's read that. Romans 12:1.
Back to the scripture.
Go back to this.
How long
I
is
wanted
this
to
debate?
make my
Like 20 minutes.
We'll do that at that.
What does Romans 12
One.
2, rather.
Actually, gender based.
Well, 2.
Yeah.
I got it.
Debate.
And do not be conformed.
Okay, listen.
Wait, what's it? And do not be conformed to this world. but
Okay,
be-
stop right there.
You like a robot.
Do not be conformed. Do not be
Conform.
to this world. What world?
This one.
How does this world think?
Worldly.
Worldly. And the world runs, yes?
To the Bible.
Yeah. The world
Hey,
runs.
don't be piece about that roach.
The world runs on 2 rails. The world runs on 2 rails. One is greed and one is fear.
Purple. Oh. What? One is green.
Greed.
Oh.
Greed, to be greedy.
That's my colors.
And fear. Now remember on Monday when we had the last class, I said this. We experience pain when we become self-centered, when we are pursuing things that we want and we don't care about what others want. And if I want something, I will pursue it, even if it means hurting you. You get it? Lack of appreciating life. And so if I want to get something from you, I will do what it takes to get it, even if it means getting rid of you.
Ooh.
And the world has trained you to be an individual, which looks like a good thing, the pursuit of happiness, which looks like a good thing, but now how you pursue that happiness depends on whether you value life or you don't. And so if you are so self-centered, my happiness will matter. I will not care about you. That's greed. Just to gather and to amass things for myself. Do you get it?
Yeah,
I want to get rich by whatever means. I want to get it by whatever means. And it can easily be demonstrated. What do you guys like most?
Food.
Big bag.
Give me one specific food that is popular to all of you.
Fried chicken.
Me personally, no.
Now, and you may have experienced this.
I need to switch.
If it's mac and
Come on,
cheese,
mac and cheese.
hey, if it's mac and cheese, and I have a small pot of mac and cheese,
Hey,
and I come and I put there on that table and I say that is yours,
It's okay, you
and
can
you
have
all
some.
have plates, what will you guys naturally do?
no.
I made
Hey.
this.
You will run
I made this.
and get as much as you can for yourself.
You can, but
Bro, that's crazy.
Most of us will do that.
Bro, look at that cheese pour.
And sure enough, on Sunday, when food was cooked in the kitchen,
I made this.
Do you remember?
myself, bro. Hop on.
hey, big class.
Mac and cheese.
I was
I
trying
mean,
to.
On Sunday, when Ryan cooked food,
Mm-hmm.
did you see the reaction?
Yes.
big
The
bags.
People going there and scooping as much as they can for themselves.
yeah, I don't. I don't wanna-
There is no regard that we are quite a number. Let's just take a little so that everybody has some share. I want to scoop as much as I can for my, and I will not care what somebody else misses. It's a human,
Snooze, you lose.
it's conditioning. It is conditioning. You may not, well, until I bring it to you, you will really not see it until you find yourself to it. If I come with a cake, a small cake, and there are 2 people, and I say you 2 can eat this, divide it into 2. You'll find somebody, yes, they are divided into 2, but one half is bigger than the other, and they will take the bigger half.
That's so real.
It's not just them, it's all of you. It's human, it's mind
We're talking about your favorite
control.
subject.
I'll share with you, but it'll always have to be.
I always-
You'll always have the bigger share.
Yeah, me personally.
And if I say, If I say let's exchange, you give me yours, you take this one, you'll be like, no.
Early bird gets the worm.
That's the argument.
Crickets.
Yeah.
The early bird will not consider there are other birds. Let me leave some for the others that are coming after me.
Okay, but like, no. I'm not even think about that one.
Because
You're talking about food.
Hey, because we have been conformed to think that way. Immerse as much as you can for yourself.
Me personally.
You've all experienced this, haven't you? You've been to birthdays. I have seen you guys in the kitchen. I have seen how you handle yourselves. And so
Yeah, right.
it is.
What?
Yeah, right.
Did you tell me something? Yes,
Five bags of cheese.
Hey,
I have more than that.
Heather.
You
Heather.
You took the last 5 bags.
And then
No,
you
I left 3
Oh,
days,
Mike,
okay?
Colorado.
No, just having
Ryan, are you working with avocado?
Yes, no.
Okay, stop
The sweet tea.
it. I'm not encouraging you to
It's like 5.
pick on each other, but I have seen. Hey, listen.
Thank you.
Hey, listen. I have seen you.
You.
They are like two. Let's say, you see, when they started bringing food here, they would bring donuts and all that. I have seen people take a whole 12-pack home when they're just 3 and there are others looking for donuts.
My fault.
Yeah?
Dang, that's kind of tough.
Right, Gloria?
I hear Skittles.
Right, Jesse?
Gloria, I hear
Okay,
Skittles.
fine.
I don't have it.
And so it is, hey,
If anyone is not
it's
doing it,
because,
No.
hey, it's because we have been conformed to the way the world thinks. We only think of ourselves. And by the way, before you go home, those fridges will need to be cleaned.
I already cleaned it.
Why? Because
Yeah, who spilled that sauce?
because sometimes we fail to understand that there are other people using these same things, but we go there, we take care of our tummies, and then we neglect, we throw everything everywhere. Remember we had that talk, yeah?
Yeah.
We had that talk.
Yeah.
Be considerate. Don't trash the place. Don't trash the kitchen. Don't go there, eat, and then you leave your trash on the counter or on the table. For who? You don't do that at home.
Took me a second.
Yeah, I was like, why she just...
Jaden.
From best.
You could have
Bro.
knocked that over.
Take that shirt.
Let me just...
You just leave him alone.
He doesn't know anything.
And so there is a way the world has conformed you to think. And that way is that you take care of yourself. Don't worry so much about others. Okay? Let me show you something. Philippians chapter 1. Because we are talking about your mind being set free. Alright? So Philippians chapter 2.
Wait,
What's funny?
1 or 2?
Philippians chapter 2
Okay.
from verse 3.
Already said?
Philippians chapter 2 from verse 3.
I'll read.
Actually 3 and 4. Go ahead.
Let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind. Let each esteem others be better. Better
No.
than
Let
himself.
each one esteem others better than yourself.
Hold on. Okay. Let each of you look out not only for his own interests, but also for the interests of others.
There you go. That is the new mind. Now,
Philippians 2, 3, and 4.
what does verse 5 say?
Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus.
Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ
Jesus.
Jesus. Because what is held in captivity is your mind, the way you think. If you grow up in a system and a culture where you only think of yourself, you become a prisoner to your own mind. But in Christ, you are set free, because where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And so you are not a captive of your own mind. And the best way to set your mind free is to know what God has done for you. That now you learn to appreciate not just your own life, but the life of your neighbor. That you don't trash places. You don't trash the kitchen. You don't trash your own bedroom. You don't trash your house. You don't go to your friend's house and you trash it. If you use a place, you clean up after yourself, because you have to consider others. If there is anything to be shared, you divide it equally. You don't divide it in such a manner that you get the bigger share and you eat more while the others are struggling to share the little that is left. Okay, stop pointing fingers and...
Yeah, guys.
I can't eat ramen because of her, bro. Actually, no.
Who's her?
You.
I don't even take ramen from
No, I said I'm not saying we start blaming each other. I want us to be set free. That the mind that was in Christ is also in us. That we consider others better. If I'm the one who's dividing the cake, and I love you and I cherish your life, then if the half is not really half, there is a bigger one than the other, then let me take the smaller one, let him have the bigger one. I want you to have the bigger one.
Facts.
That's what I do.
Yeah, Marie.
Freedom for the captives. There is a way the prince of this world. Turn to Ephesians. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 1.
Guys, that's what they
1 and 2. Actually 1 to 3.
Watch after.
Chapter 2, 1 to 3.
I got it.
I want to read it.
You read. I listen.
Don't stop.
And you he made alive, who were dead.
Okay, hold stop. Guys, Ephesians chapter 2,
You were there for 3.
verse 1 to 3. 1 to 4, sorry. Alright, let's go.
And you he made alive, who were dead in trespasses and sins, in which you once walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of power of the air, the spirit who now works in the sins of disobedience, among whom also we all once conducted ourselves in the lusts of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, just as the others.
Do you understand that? Now he made you alive. He set you free. You who once walked in the ways of this world. You who once considered yourself more important than others. You who once would push everybody away to get what you want. That's what he means. You once walked according to the cause of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air. Who is that prince?
Yo, what a hit.
Who is that prince?
Wait, read it
Prince
again.
of...
Read it again.
Prince-
Verse 2.
Jesus.
Listen. Verse 2.
In which you once walked according to the course of this world.
Okay, stop. Abby, be in class.
I'm sorry. It's just like there's a kid screaming.
It's okay, he'll be fine. Hmm?
In which you once walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit who now works in the sins of disobedience.
In which you once walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air. And so it tells you there are forces that control the way the world thinks. Did it? There are forces that control the way the world things. And that's why I said the battle is always on your mind. There is somebody who is controlling the way you think and the way you live. You think and live according to whoever is controlling you. And so there is the cause of this world, and there is the prince of the power of the air. And I asked the question, who is this prince?
Jesus.
So who's the prince?
Aiden?
The devil. Who said the devil?
Me?
The devil is the one who is controlling the way the world thinks. The devil. This world is under the influence of the devil. And that's why it's so hard to pay attention and to consider others. That's why you feel strange walking and acknowledging yourself as a son of God, because it's so strange to how everybody else thinks. Right?
Right.
There is the way the world thinks, and that way is under the influence of the devil, where you care for your own things at the expense of others.